I was really dissatisfied with my life. I didn't like how I felt, how I looked, how I was acting with other people. I wasn't the person I wanted to be to my family and friends. I was furious. You know that feeling of like there's like a fire inside of you? If you take vitamin D, do you have to take K2 with it? Is HRT safe? Oh, I like this question. Welcome to another episode of the Save Yourself podcast. Thanks for being here, guys. I'm Dr. Amy Shah. I'm a double board certified MD and nutrition specialist, and I'm always thinking of ways that we can find our gifts. Now, why do I say that? When you eat better, and start taking care of your gut health, start sleeping better, you start to see things more clearly. The people that are toxic around you, you start to see opportunities. You start to see what's good in your life because of that gut-brain connection. And when you do that, you can start recognizing your own gifts. So I'm so excited to be here with you because we're going to do a Q&A. I'm literally going to be reading out questions that you had. And before that, sharing a little bit about my backstory, because I know that so many of you have asked about how I got here. And there's a lot of good and bad that came from it. So I wanted to share that with you. And before I start, I want to let you know that we are up and running with the Amy MD Network. AmyMDNetwork.com is a place where you can actually get live coaching from me at a very, very reduced cost. It's a group coaching model where you come on live and we get to chat through. Everybody kind of gets a hot seat. So everyone gets a chance. Over time, I think everyone is going to get a chance to come on live with me. We'll coach you through what your issues are as if you're walking in and talking to me in person, okay? So obviously this is not medical advice, but this is literally so transformational. So many people have told me that they've really gained a lot of insight from being on the network. And it's a weekly show that you come on live. You can listen to the episodes. If you don't want to come on live, you can just ask your question, be anonymous. You can just listen to other people getting coached so you can learn from yourself, because I think a lot of us, most of us have the same problems, right? So I'm excited about that. We're also excited because the chai protein has a whole new look. You guys are going to love this. It's sleek. It matches the kind of what's inside, because we have created a very clean protein with 20 grams of protein that you can just mix in water. You don't need a blender. It mixes so well in coffee if you'd like it, in a smoothie if you'd like it. You don't have to use hot boiling water. In fact, you shouldn't use hot boiling water when you use it. It's like a protein powder where you use cool water or warm water, and you can use it any way you like. I've had so many people saying that they've had, it's changed their lives. So very excited about that. All right, let's get into today's episode. Let's start with a question. I'm going to look up the first question, and then we'll get into the answer, and then I'll talk a little bit about my backstory and the things you can take from it. And hopefully maybe I'll lead right into it. So let's see what the first question is. And this is based on a question box that I put on my social media. Somebody asked, if you take vitamin D, do you have to take K2 with it? So yes, you are correct. If you are taking vitamin D or you're eating vitamin D in your foods, you do need a K2 in your diet. So here's where I want to clarify. You don't need a K2 supplement, because you only need 100 to 300 micrograms of vitamin K2 for it to be effective. And that's available in many, many foods. And most people are getting it through their diet. So having a vitamin D without the K2 is probably okay, because you're getting it through lots of other things. However, if you want it to be perfectly safe, you can take it as a supplement. So again, it's only 100 to 300 micrograms for adults. And remember that vitamins A, D, E, and K are fat soluble. So if you're taking too much of these, they can accumulate in your fat cells, and you can overdose on it potentially. So it's something just to keep in mind. It's not something super common, but vitamins A, D, E, and K, we do have to know that they kind of stick around in your body. They don't just, you just pee it out like a lot of the other B vitamins and C vitamins, etc. So yeah, vitamin D, K2 may or may not need a supplement is how I would frame it. You need just such little amounts. Okay. So let me get into my backstory. So, um, about 10 years ago, so about 2014, I started to get into writing for a blog called Mind Body Green. It was a free blog. And I had this idea because I was really dissatisfied with my life. I didn't like how I felt, how I looked, how I was acting with other people. I was very short with my temper, and I was wasn't the person I wanted to be to my family and friends. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought to myself, how do I get myself out of here? Even though on the outside I had two beautiful children, I was married and having a wonderful practice and a partner. After I finished all this medical training and everything should have been perfect, right? But it wasn't. It was like I was miserable and I hated who I was and I couldn't stand it another day. And so what I started to do is I started to go on these long runs because that's what I used to do in college and medical school when I needed to kind of clear my head. And also I wanted to like make my body stronger and more endurant. And so I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to start running again. And I started to run and I was like going to train for a half marathon. And on these long runs, I would put in my headphones, but sometimes I wouldn't want to listen to music anymore because it would just, after you run many, many days in a row, you get sick of the same music. And so I started to listen to podcasts. And I listened to every different podcast. When you go on these long runs, you can go through a bunch, right? So I would listen to lots of health and wellness podcasts because that's what I was interested in. And one of the podcasts that I listened to was Rituals podcast because I had read his book just before that. And he had come out with a podcast and he had his friend Jason Wakaban who was talking about this wellness website called Mind Body Green. And that day I went to work after my run and I emailed them a potential blog post. And here's the thing. Why did I do that? Because as I started running and spending more time outside, because I was running outside mostly, I started to eat better because I don't know, when you run, you have endorphins and you're in nature, your mood improves a little bit, your gut health improves, right? So I started to say like, okay, I'm going to clean up my diet, I'm going to help my running, to help myself. And so I started to really cut out a lot of the frappuccinos, the fried foods, and the processed foods. And I started to eat more fruits and vegetables. I started to go to this grocery store near my office to get lunch instead of just relying on whatever was in the back room, which is never good. And once I started to do that, I started to think better and see clearer. And that's what I always talk about in my messaging is like when you take care of your gut, all of a sudden you can see things clearer, right? So when I was going for my run and I listened to this podcast, I was thinking about it all evening. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, maybe this is just what I need. I need an outlet like this. And so I submitted my first post. So what I realized after that is that when I was eating better, I started to have more energy to do more exercise. And as I did more exercise, especially the part where I was exercising outdoors, I think the sun and the nature thing really helped my mood. And then it also was helping with my sleep, which I struggled with for so many years. And so my sleep got better, my mood got better, my gut was feeling better. And then all of a sudden, things started to click. And I share this with you because I think a lot of us are in that place. And I always come back to that basic. Whenever I want to get to the next level, I know that I need to take care of my gut, need to take care of my brain. I need more time outside in nature. I need more sleep. So anyways, after I got an email a couple of days later, which was literally the validation and the sign, quote unquote sign from the universe that I needed that said, yeah, sure. It was like a quick, simple note, like, yeah, sure. That sounds great. And I thought to myself, okay, this is a sign. This is what I should do. And so I started writing posts every day, and every like 3 times a week, I was submitting a finished post. Sometimes once a week, sometimes a couple times a week, just depending on how much time I had. And that's really how I got started. And I would say that at various points in my career, like, so I got started, but then I kind of backed off because I had a lot going on in my life and I was busy and I was scared of like, what is this even going to get me? What is the next step? And the next real change happened when I got invited to that same website, Mind Body Green. I got invited to their first retreat. They had a retreat for all of their creators. And I went. It was just happened to be in Arizona, which is where I lived. And I was like, wow, okay, it's right here. I just have to drive to Tucson, which was like a 2-hour drive. And I went and I was so shocked. I was blown away at how many people were interested in wellness like me, but really taking it to the next level. They were creating products and programs and books, and they were speaking about it. And they were, and these are people that I felt were even less qualified, not in a mean way, but like less qualified. Like I could be doing that. That's what I kept thinking. I'm like, I have a nutrition background. I have a medical background. I could be speaking about this. I could be writing about this. I could be doing more in this world than I am currently. But of course, you go back to your world, and I had little kids and life was busy, and I had this imposter syndrome. And of course, I didn't want other people to, think of me as like, oh, she's selling out. She's doing this thing. Because in medicine, we're trained, literally trained, that if you do anything outside the box, if you create a product, if you collaborate with someone, a company, or even go out, it's almost like you're selling out. Like they think that you've kind of broken out of the matrix, and it was really looked down upon. That has changed a lot over the last 10 years. It is no longer looked down upon. In fact, almost every doctor is on social media and sharing things and writing books and doing things. But at the time, it was really looked down upon. So I took a lot of that and felt the resistance and really was very slow moving. At one of the retreats, I think it was the second Mind Body Green retreat, or maybe it was a third, I met someone who said she's a book agent. And she said, "Are you interested in writing a book?" And I said, "Well, kind of. Yeah, I've been dreaming about it forever, but like nobody's ever asked me. I thought I would do it when my kids were in college." And so we had this long 6-month conversation about book writing. And then I decided to write my first book. And this is when I started on social media about 5 years ago, because they said, well, if you're going to write a book, you probably need to be on social media. So yeah, it was about 2020 or 2019 that I really started to ramp up social media. I'd done it here and there, but I really wasn't into it. And of course, the pandemic hit right around the time that I was, starting to do social media. And so it kind of was good timing because I spent a little bit more time on learning and figuring out what I should be posting, etc. Long story short, during that time, I got a call and I picked it up, and it was someone, a mentor, a physician, a much older, established physician, who said to me, "Hey, I saw that you're doing all this stuff and, wellness and nutrition." I said, "Oh, great, thanks." I thought it was like a congratulatory call. And he was like, "Well, so I think you should spend a little more time on your patient, concentrate on your patients and patient care, and a little less time on this other stuff." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And I literally felt like someone had punched me in the gut. And I thought to myself, what do you mean? It's not like it's not taking away from my patient care. And I don't feel like it's impacting my patients in a negative way. In fact, if anything, it's actually expanding how much I can care for them. And he said, "Well, it's distracting, I'm sure, because you're thinking about that, or you're writing about it in the downtime and all this stuff." And I said, "Well, you do other things outside of medicine, and I don't really think that I'm criticizing anything that you're doing. I mean, we can be more than one thing." And then, we had a chat about it and I hung up and I was furious. You know, that feeling of like there's like a fire inside of you that you're like, who does this person think they are? Like, who is this person that thinks that they know what you is best for you, that you should be doing with your life, that in any form, like I just was like, someone I respect and I really like came to me and said something that was so counter what, made sense to me. And I also thought to myself, where is this coming from? Is this coming from a place of protection, or is this coming from a place of like, hey, I don't want you to do something that's outside the box, right? Like there's all these questions and I don't know the intentions. Obviously I can think of the best intentions, and the best intentions were just like, hey, maybe this is distracting to you because you're doing all this new things, and maybe, it's taking away from your attention to the stuff that you should be doing. And yeah, it made sense if you think about it that way. But think about how multifaceted everyone is. Like we are doing so many things, at all the time. And I thought to myself, I really thought hard for that next day. Like, am I a worse doctor because I'm doing this, or am I a better doctor? And I had to think about it really hard. And I came to the conclusion that I was a better person. I was living out my gifts, and I was a much better doctor when I was doing all this stuff. So, it's just another lesson that tells you that when you do something new, there's going to be naysayers, and maybe they mean really well. And I think this person meant really well. And there's no harm, in talking and having a discourse with someone you trust and love. But I honestly felt like in this case, it really threw me for a loop, and I was like stunned and maybe like paralyzed for the next couple of months, because I wasn't sure if I was going in the right direction and I was being questioned, right? But I'm so glad that I really thought about it in my gut, and I thought, oh my God, I have found something that feels so good to me, that feels like I'm living out my gifts, and I really have to push back on this and say, I'm good. I'm going to pursue what I want to do and still be a great doctor in every way. And then what happened is magical. I think once I stepped into it, that adversity kind of made me so sure of my path that I just went all in. I went all in during probably like a few years ago. And I really felt like I was able to create things that are novel, be a leader in my fields, and really help other people see their own gifts through what I went through. So just want to share a little bit of the backstory. So let's get into the second question. I know I talked a lot about. Okay, next question. Best routine nutrition and exercise for the 60-year-old female. The 60-year-old female, okay, that's a great question. Exercise and nutrition regimen. So remember, 60-year-old female is really usually postmenopausal in most cases, and often they're postmenopausal for many years. So here's what you should know. Your estrogen is protective for your bones and your muscles and your brain and your heart, and various other things. And so often during this time, postmenopause, you really have to be dealing with your increased heart disease risk, your increased cancer risk, your increased brain dementia risk, etc. So nutrition has to really be optimized. You want to, like the things I tell people, magnesium, vitamin D, and omega-3s, for example. I mean, these are just three of the top. There's many, many more things that you should be doing, but these things should really be optimized. Your exercise, both cardiovascular and weight training, should be optimized, because if you think about it, this is the time where you're no longer going to be able to, easily build muscle. It's very, very, if you just stay static, you are losing muscle and bone, and you have to work against it. So you want to do things that improve your heart. You want to do things that improve your brain. You want to do things that improve your bones. You want to do things that improve your muscle. So that includes weight training about 3 times a week, walking almost every day or at least 4 times a week. 4 times a week walking for 3 times a week walking for 40 minutes can grow your brain. Then you want to optimize your levels of magnesium, 550 milligrams a day through diet and supplementation. Vitamin D, 2 to 5,000 IUs, depending on your levels. You want omega-3s, 3 to 5 grams a day. You want to be doing hot therapy like sauna, which seems to be really great for longevity and growth hormone boost and heart health and brain health. And then you want to be doing a little bit of sprinting once a week, a sprint once a week. I talk about this all the time, but like a comprehensive exercise program, including once a week sprint for 4 minutes total, was shown to reverse the age of the heart by 20 years. So if you're 60, your heart can look 40, especially if you start from somewhere, you take a sedentary person and you put them on an exercise program and you ramp them up to the point where they're doing both walking or biking and then also weight training and then a sprint once a week, they're able to really reverse the age of their heart. So that would be kind of the exercise routine, the nutrition routine. Remember, protein, fiber, probiotic foods, 30, 33. And then, so 30 grams of protein in the morning, 30 grams of fiber throughout the day, 3 probiotic foods. And then I would say as you move into your 60s, you want to get a DEXA scan to check out your bone health and supplement with your diet and supplements for bone health. You want to be sleeping adequately because we know that sleep is protective for brain health and overall health. And you want to have good friendships, just relationships, people that you can rely on. That is going to help you a lot in the long run. And that diet and fitness regimen is similar to the one I really basically propose in perimenopause, but it's just more exaggerated. You have to be even better at it. Your metabolism does slow down effectively because you have less muscle, et cetera. And you are at higher risk for a lot of diseases. So things just get more important as you move into your 60s. So I hope that helps. Mar_Adzima asked about the best routine for exercise and nutrition for a 60-year-old. Okay, Canyon Corazon asks, if I stop taking Benadryl now, will the dementia effects be reversed or is the damage forever? That's a great question. I think we believe that it is not forever and that the dementia risk increases with chronic use of anticholinergics like Benadryl. So that means that you will get benefit from stopping and letting it get out of your system. And you will benefit by, doing brain exercises, things to grow your brain, things to support your brain. So yeah, it's not too late. And what she's talking about is a study and some information that we've gotten recently over the last few years that things like Benadryl and hydroxyzine and things that cross that blood-brain barrier, these are medications that get into your brain or affect your brain by crossing that blood-brain barrier. These things can have a high risk over time at increasing your risk of dementia. You don't want to be taking Benadryl for long periods of time on a daily basis. That's the bottom line, especially for the elderly. Like when you are dealing with elderly patients, the best thing you can do is take them off these kind of medications. And you can use a non-drowsy, like for example, if it's for allergies, you can use a non-drowsy allergy medication like a loratadine or which is Claritin, or fexofenadine, which is Allegra, or cetirizine, which is Zyrtec, or levocetirizine, which is Zysol. These are all good alternatives for those who have itching or rashes, hives, or allergies. And same with hydroxyzine. So hydroxyzine and Benadryl should be taken out, and these second generation antihistamines should be added in as a substitute. So sorry that you've been taking it for so many years. I'm glad you heard this information, and I'm glad that you're switching it out. So that's that. Next question. What vitamins and what kind of magnesium should I be taking at age 35? That's from Olivia SNDVL. So, Olivia, that's a great question. So, if you're 35 years old, the type of magnesium that could be best for you is a magnesium, first of all, magnesium in food. So, I always talk about like increasing the amount of magnesium in your food with beans and nuts and leafy greens. And then you can use a supplement like a magnesium glycinate. Magnesium glycinate is magnesium bound to glycine so that it can get into your body and calm your cortisol levels and also help you relax. And magnesium glycinate has been shown to really help with perimenopausal symptoms. And so as you get into perimenopause, this can help. When I was in my 30s, I took it mostly around my cycle. And then I started to take it more regularly once I realized the benefits of it. And now I take all kinds of magnesium. So sometimes I'll take the threonate for brain health. I'll take the citrate for gut health, constipation issues, for example, and when I travel. And then I'll take the glycinate before bed. Not necessarily all three at once. I try to do about 250 to 300 milligrams in supplementation, and then I try to get all the rest from food. So I hope you find that helpful. That's for if, in your 30s, late 30s and 40s. Is HRT safe? Oh, I like this question. Okay. It's a very nuanced and detailed conversation that you have to have with your healthcare provider. The question, I should read who it's from. The question from Juliana Wagner. It's Juliana Van Wagner. Is HRT safe? This is a big and loaded question. So everything has changed. Back in the day when I was in training, the big nurses' health study had just come out and shown that there was a large increase in cancer with hormone replacement therapy. And therefore, everyone stopped taking it. It was like no one should be on hormone replacement, right? And then they re-looked at the data and new information was found. And we found out maybe there was some, flaws in that study and the way they calculated things. Anyways, long story short, doesn't seem like there is a sizable risk for most people if you start within 10 years of ending your period and you don't have a strong history and a certain other criteria. And so it is now determined that if you have osteopenia or osteoporosis, so if you have bone health issues, if you have vaginal concerns like dryness or pain, that's another indication. Or the third indication is if you have severe hot flashes or night sweats. Those three indications are clear. Like you should talk to your provider and they will assess you for hormone replacement therapy. And often it's a combination of estrogen and progesterone for most people who have a uterus. Now, the nuanced conversation that you should have, again, with your own personal provider is how many years out are you from your last menstrual period? What is the severity of your symptoms? What is your family history, especially family history of cancer or personal history of cancer? And make a kind of informed decision based on that. And so I believe that, yes, it's generally safe. And yes, we do a disservice to women by discouraging them to take it. And no, it's not for everyone. And no, it won't make you magically more energetic and help you lose weight and protect you from dementia. Like a lot of, these messages on the internet are like, go both ways. One is like, don't take it. And the other one's like, it's the magic pill for everything. It's neither, right? So it's generally a good idea for many women. And I think we've really done women a disservice by not offering it. And really, when I talk about nutrition and exercise, like you could be doing the best nutrition. You could be having perfect gut health. You could be sleeping and then you could still have severe hot flashes and night sweats. And so it's not an, and or. It's not an or, it's an and. So you should be doing the nutrition, gut health stuff. And you should be considering hormone replacement therapy, especially with those three indications. The hot flashes and night sweats is one. bone health, so osteopenia, osteoporosis is second, and vaginal issues like dryness or pain with sex is the third. We'll take our last one and then we'll wrap it up here. I like this. I drink Olipop and a Poppy. Are these okay and nutritious? Are they good to drink instead of a fiber supplement? Thank you. From April Chalaway. So April, this is a great question. As you know, there's been a lot of talk about Poppy in the media. Now, I'm not affiliated with either of these drinks, so I can talk candidly about it. I mean, I have no skin in the game. I can tell you that I used to drink those. I never thought of them as a replacement for healthy food, but I think a lot of people did. And I think that's where especially Poppy got into an issue because there was like a class action lawsuit because they kind of bill themselves as a healthy thing, but it's just healthier than soda, right? You're not really drinking it for the health benefits. So for example, in Poppy, the amount of like prebiotics that's in there is really not enough to make a big difference, especially because there is some sugar in there too. And that's the thing. And although Olipop, at least from my understanding, has a lot more fiber, my understanding is that these drinks are no replacement for real food. And it's going to come up over and over again. It's like saying, taking a bunch of vitamins is the same as going out to exercise and eating a good diet. Like, obviously, we know that's not true. Well, I would think of it the same way. What I want to see, what I would love to see, is just a drink that has simple ingredients. Maybe it's like monk fruit sweetened, something that's like delicious. And it doesn't pretend to have health beneficial qualities. Like it doesn't need to have vitamins or like special adaptogens, et cetera, like what's really in vogue right now. I want it to just have simple ingredients that we can understand and that we can drink instead of soda. That's fun, a little more fun than water or sparkling water. Like that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking into too. Like what is that? And how does that work? And how do we create that, or how do we find that? So yeah, I would say drink them as alternatives to soda. I put them in the same categories like kombucha, although kombucha obviously has real health properties. It's fermented. It can be low sugar. Well, let's put it this way. I would put soda at the very bottom. I would put these kind of Olipop and Poppies in the category above that. And a category above that would be a low sugar kombucha or kind of like a fermented drink. And then above that would be sparkling water with no additives. And then above that would be just water. So that's kind of my hierarchy. So this is what I mean by, really understanding and getting clarity around nutrition. I think we all need a lot of clarity and understanding around nutrition. So I think we got a bunch of questions done, and I really, really appreciate you for being a part of this. Make sure that you check out the Amy MD Network. Make sure you check out the new chai protein. Make sure you keep it coming with your questions and your comments, and I'm enjoying doing this podcast. Please leave a rating or review if you like the podcast. Share it with a friend. I'm so appreciative of you, and I'm so grateful for you, and I thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the community, and thank you for your interest. Until next time, have a great day. This is the Save Yourself Podcast.